Tell me about the day of your crash.
Well, that was really kind of a fluky, unusual thing. Our carrier, we'd been off on a strike in one of the Philippine islands, I can't remember which. And when we had taken off on that, we had just gotten in the air, and I wasn't aware of the time, but one of the guys that was flying in the same flight, he saw smoke coming up from our carrier. We had just taken off and were going in, and a couple of kamikazes hit the carrier.
Which carrier was that?
That was Intrepid. And so we went in and completed our mission, and as we were on the way back, we were instructed to land at Leyte in the Philippines. And MacArthur had just secured basically almost an strip of the beach. And so the engineers went and laid down this steel matting to make a landing strip. So we were instructed to go there. So we landed and stayed overnight there with the Army. And the next day we were going to island hop back to where the fleet was anchored, Ulithi, which is about probably 1,000 miles east of the Philippines. There's a big atoll out there, and you could put the whole U.S. fleet in there, and the little atolls were breakwater, so it was that was a place where the fleet was. Well, our carrier was hit, but it wasn't knocked out, so it got back there. And so we were instructed to. Well, we couldn't make it in one hop. We didn't have enough fuel, so we flew from Leyte over to the Palau Islands, which had been just recently taken. Landed there and stayed overnight, and then the next day we were going to fly up to use about another 500-600 miles. And on takeoff, I was rolling down, and before I got flying speed, I blew a tire, and it started to drag, and I thought, boy, if I can just horse this thing off, because we were, in our mind, we knew we were probably headed home because the carrier had been damaged, and we already had been out for a few weeks longer than we were supposed to be. So we figured, boy, so we were concerned in getting back to Ulithi. Well, as I tried to get it off, I didn't have the speed to get it off, and the flat tire started to drag me through the side of the runway. And of course, the runway there had just been hewn out of the coral, and there were boulders and stuff along the side. Well, it pulled me off the side, and when I went off, I had a belly tank on, a gas 150-gallon belly tank, and the belly tank hit one of those boulders, and I was in flames immediately, and peeled off down into a little a little dip, and the plane was on fire, and well, you just react, you get things off and try and get out, and then the ammunition started going off, and the plane started burning, and the rest of the squadron was airborne. They circled up there, and a couple of the guys, our squadron was pretty tight, and they wanted to know what it was, and I flew in the skipper's division, and he said, well, soon, but he said, there's no way he could ever get out of that thing. And some of the guys wanted to come back and check it out. But he said no, so they went on and flew up to Ulithi and landed up there. And I got out of the plane, I had some burns and stuff. And the Army, they had a Jeep over there to pick me up, took me to sick bay, and doctored me up and put on some bandage and stuff like that. And I only thought I got to get to Ulithi because that squadron is going home. And so the operations office there was an admiral who was flying through from Australia up to Ulithi, and of course he was flying all by himself in a big plane. You know, he wasn't flying; he was being flown. And so I asked if I could get some bummer ride up there, and so they let me do that. And so I landed up at Ulithi. Our carrier, the accommodations were shot, you know, it didn't burn out and all that stuff. So they'd set up camp on the beach just in some tents, and that's where the squadron was. And so skipped squadron there, and I walked in and said hi, and he couldn't believe it because he was sure I was dead. But it was an unusual thing. It wasn't due to enemy action, and they thought I should get a Purple Heart. And I said, for what? Wasn't anything. The enemy did. It was, you know, one of those things that you couldn't help. So that was the only physical damage that I suffered. That was minor. So.